that's a good question, because a lot of times when things happen to the citizens, when homicides happen, when shootings happen, when any type of misdemeanor or felony crime happen, you know, there are fingers pointed. And you got to be able to understand the process. My thing with building trust is making sure that I open up the Hinds County Sheriff Office and have classes so that way the citizens can understand the process of things. Because believe it or not, we're in 2021. A lot of people don't even know the process of just coming in to pay a ticket. So I want to be able to have that relationship to where they can come in and have complete transparency, because there are a lot of people that get in positions, and then when they get into positions, they close the door on citizens. You got to get in position and have complete transparency. You got to be able to they got to be able to have trust and understanding in you. So that's my job. That's what I'm going to do. They have trust in me. I have a lot of people that be in my inboxes, that call me, that see me out in the streets, and I'm stopping and helping them, and I'm telling them things that they ask me to do for them. So trust is a big thing for me, and I want to continue that when I become the sheriff, and I make sure that I continue to have complete transparency, because that's what a lot of people always come to me. That's their biggest concern, not knowing what's going on. And we got to be able to make sure that they understand the process and be complete transparent when it comes through investigations or anything like that, because that'll build a lot of trust with the citizens.
Trust, commitment, making them have the confidence in the department. I want to be able to look my deputies in the eye and our citizens in the eye. I want to be able to look our victims in the eye. And when I tell them, hey, I got your back, hey, this is a problem you're having, I'm going to help you with it. I want to be able to look them in the eye, and I want to be able to tell them, hey, I got it. Whatever's need to be done is done. And when I give that person my word, as a sheriff and as me being Leon Seals, my word is golden. Once I give them that word, they do not have to look back. My word is bound. And that's what the men and women of the Sheriff's Department, as well as the community, will get. They never have to think second, he told me he was going to do it. Did he do it? My actions alone will speak for what I'm doing.
That comes along with community policing, being in the neighborhoods, living in the county, actually going, knocking on doors, conversing with the citizens, asking the citizens about their concerns, and hearing what problems they are facing, building their rapport with the citizens throughout Hinds County.
Based on a nationwide trend, people don't trust the police right now. And I can name several reasons why. We all can. And the only way you're going to be able to get the people to trust you is to go to the people and show them that they can trust you. You got to have more community involvement. That's just the bottom line. You can't be standoffish. You got to get out and talk to the community, but not just when somebody dials 911. You got to be interacting with the community at all times. That's where you're going to get your help from, because law enforcement can't do it on its own. It's got to have a partnership with the community.
Not just in trust in the Sheriff's Department, trust in law enforcement. When we look at what has been happening over the last couple of years, has been highlighted where people have a great distrust for law enforcement because of police-involved killings and things of that nature. When I look at that, I go back to my childhood, having grown up in Georgetown in a lower economic area, where the only time that I would see the police was when it was something negative in an adversarial type environment. I think in order to overcome that, as leaders, law enforcement leaders, we have to take our people back to the basic community-oriented policing. When I say community-oriented policing, that's when the citizens knows the police and the police knows the citizens. But those relationships, they're established with young black boys and girls at a young age. They see Officer Freeman coming through. They're not afraid of the police. and also where the elderly, where they used to like sit on the porch and everything, a lot of them are afraid. They're afraid that if they call the police will what? Pull up to the house, shine the light, and people know that they're the one called. What I did when I was at Precinct 3, and I put a lot of emphasis on this, and I would tell my officers, if you get a call for service and someone calls the police for suspicious activity or people loitering or what have you, do not go to that individual's house unless they ask you to come to their house. That way, if the officer is in the area addressing the complaint, no one has to know if Miss Williams called them or Mr. John called them. They would just go and go through the area and observe the area. So we will also have to have different type of community events. I'm big on the law and youth with our young people. After all these police shootings, police involved incident, I think it's incumbent that we bring our law enforcement and our young people, our community back together so we can discuss some of these issues. Why is it that if a policeman stops a young African American male, how should that young male react or interact with the police? How should the police interact with that young male? So those are a lot of things that we need to address. And I started the reading patrol when I was stationed here as an agent with the FBI. We went to the Boys and Girls Club on Capitol. And what we did, I personally went over to the Jackson Public School resource office, and I got a list of all the books that these young kids will be reading the next school year. And what we did, my organization, National Organization of Executive Black Executives, we purchased those school books that those kids would read. And we took those books back to the Y, and I had FBI, JPD, Hinds County Sheriff, U.S. Marshal. I had all these law enforcement entities, guys particular, and some women come in, and they would read those books with those kids. They would have discussions with those kids. Now, that was a twofold purpose. One is that the kids get to interact with a positive role model. Secondly, they get to interact with law enforcement officers not on an adversarial means. And thirdly, they get to know them within their community. That was a very good program. I was somewhat disheartened when I left Jackson that the FBI did not continue that program. But those are some programs that I feel would be very good in reaching our people. I like the fact of, for the rural areas, doing a health and welfare check on our elderly that lives alone. These are all programs that we can foster within our community to show them that we care about our public that we serve, and it re-engages our community in a positive manner with law enforcement. Thank you. Good question. I feel that this is my first time ever running for a public office. Never thought I would ever be a politician. And I feel that would be a very difficult situation to do. But I'm also I'm a 31-year law enforcement veteran. Okay? So my belief is that if you stay with what the law is and you do that which is right, I know it won't always be that easy. It sounds easy. I know it will be difficult. But you're talking to someone, like I said, I always believe that as a law enforcement officer, I have an oath to keep. And that should not transcend because I'm an elected official. I go into that gray area. I'm a firm believer. You do that which is right. You follow the law. Of course, there will be times that I will have to address issues such as that question. And I pray that I will continue to keep the mindset that I have kept for 31 years, is that As a sworn law enforcement officer, I have an obligation to do that which is right. So now, ask me once I'm elected, Beverly, you hear now, what are you going to do? And I'll come right back to it. Everything that I do involves prayer. Even when making decisions as a supervisor, and I have supervised both police officers, military officers, as well as FBI agents, and I know that politics plays a role, but these 31 years I've been fortunate because everybody knows me, know that that's me, that defines me as it relates to being honest, fair, and doing the right thing. That's it.
Everyone would be treated as a human being. I don't believe in treating no one no greater or no less, because all of us are human beings, and all of us we have problems. We live in problem areas. Those problem areas, I will assure them that their whatever they report will be confidential, so their confidentiality won't be broken. And I don't care what race, creed, color, religion that a person is. People are people, and I intend to treat people the way that I would want to be treated, or someone in my family would want to be treated.
It is simple. We're not going to try to reinvent the wheel. It is called community-oriented policing. It works, it has been used, and we got away from it. Now, part of that is a situation of all the young officers that we're bringing on, they hadn't been trained in that particular strategy. A lot of our officers just graduate and then they say, go to work. Call volumes are high. So they don't actually get an opportunity to practice that. But where you get your practice at is OJT. But first what you got to do with the field training officers, regardless whether it's the county or your cities, you got to have field training officers that's trained in community-oriented policing strategies. It's called COPS. And that's where we gain our trust back with the community, because it's going to get those officers out those cars. It's going to get them to having one-on-one communications with the businesses and with the citizens. And you catch them at home, you catch them on the porch, you catch them at work. And that's where it starts at.
Well, first you got to start doing your job. That's how you foster trust. And you have to start responding in a time efficient manner to calls. You can't get to a call 40 minutes late because you said, oh man, it ain't nothing, it was just an alarm call. With an alarm call that you didn't respond to, unknown to the dispatcher, it wasn't active, but it actually was active, and then the individual got hurt. But if you did your job and you responded in a timely fashion, then you eliminated loss of life or injury to individuals. So it's about us making sure that we're doing our job on the first end. If we do that on the first end and we ensure people that we're going to respond to all calls, no matter how insignificant it may appear to the naked eye, if it's a call that we're dispatched to, then we respond to it in a timely fashion.
Well, first thing you start is by doing your job. The sheriff needs to be seen more than just on the TV. I'm not a behind the desk kind of guy. I'll take care of my administrative duties that are necessary, then I'll be out on the streets. People will see me pulling up on crime scenes, and I believe that the people are the ones that give the sheriff the job. He is accountable to them. He's not his own boss. He belongs to the citizens, the people who gave him the job and put him in office and pay his salary every month. So it is his responsibility to report to the people. So I'll have town hall style meetings, neighborhood watches. If they won't request me to come, I'll be coming to their meetings. They'll be seeing me on a regular basis. Like one guy asked me one time at a convenience store, is that if I support you and I call needing to see you, will you see me in your office? I said, no. I said, well, you'll probably see me come to you because it's easier for me to come to you and get a Coke or water or something, and then yes, for you to drive downtown and try to find a parking place. So I just think the sheriff should always be accountable to the people who gave him his job.
Well, I am for the people. And first of all, my name is Ethan West Sr., and it's all about being able to commune and communicate with the public in trust, like we once have done, to be able to go by schools, because we have been handed different untrustworthy through certain officers, and if the shoe fit, wear it. That we need to bring back the trust with community and with public families, and if we are people inclined to deal with each other, we can be able to commune and talk that people can trust and respect you as you respect them.
A term in the military. Visibility, communication, getting out and talking with the community. One-on-one, find out what are their problems, getting people to trust you. It's like once people trust you, relationships and opening and communication will open up. So I believe in community policing, getting out, talking to people, no matter where they're at and what they're doing. Just talking. See a group of people, pull up, talk to them, see how their day going. Out of that group, you might get one person. That one person builds a relationship with that person. That person tell that person to build a relationship. That's how you build relationships and trust. Since it's elected and politics gonna always be in law enforcement because it's an elected position. Being elected and keeping politics out of it is your relationship to build. That's where you get trust. When you trust people, you get more people to stand behind you. It takes the politics out of it. That's how I would do that. Relationship with the community. That takes out the politics.
Well, this all pertains to community policing. Community policing is one of the 5 points that I have in my 5-point operational plan. You have to continue to bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community. You bridge that gap by including the community in activities regarding law enforcement. You have to assure the community that the citizens are ambassadors for the sheriff's office. You have to have transparency. You have to be upfront. You have to be honest with the citizens as well as have that open line of communications between the citizens and the sheriff's office as well. You will want to involve schools, churches in the community, nonprofit organizations in the community, and you would also need the media to be a part of this as well. Once the community sees that there is trust within your agency to them, then they will be able to open up to your agency more as well. You take violent crimes, for example. The offenders and the perpetrators that are out here now currently committing the violent crimes, they're in our communities. The community and the citizens know exactly who these people are. Well, if you have that base of communication and transparency with the community, then they will feel open enough to give you the information that you need, and they will also feel like they will be protected by whatever information they give you as well. So this is a very, very important task as it relates to law enforcement and the community.
Well, that's a great question. I'm certainly promoting a model that I teach at Hinds Community College. I've been an adjunct professor in criminal justice at Hinds Community College since 2005. And one of the greatest models ever developed by the law enforcement community has been a community policing model. What that means is we have to have a relationship with the community. What I want to do is ensure that my deputies are charged with ensuring to get out of the car and go meet and greet the community leaders within their areas of responsibility. In other words, it's very difficult to establish a relationship going 30 or 45 miles per hour past someone's house. You have to get out of the car, meet and greet them, ensure that you're on a first name basis with them. And I'm going to make that a written policy. And if I were to check with those community leaders and they're not able to tell me what their officer or deputy's name is, then I'm going to go see that deputy. And that deputy's going to have some explaining to do. But I believe the community police model works. I also believe the trust factor comes with ensuring that we treat our community and our citizens as what they are. They are our bosses. And I want to make sure that my employer gets the best type of treatment. And what that means is if they call in and file a complaint, my deputies won't be coming to their door to ensure that they actually filed a complaint. They're going to go to the source of the problem. So that's one of the, to me, in my experience over the last 30 years, has been one of the biggest problems with law enforcement. You should never go to the complainant's home to verify if they called or not. You can do that over the phone. And I've seen that happen too many times. And I'm going to hold deputies accountable if I ever catch one of them doing that. They're going to go to the source of the problem. They're going to handle the problem. They're going to give that complainant the confidence that every time they call, the problem will be resolved.